Hey, good evening, everyone. So, hope you all had a good day. We are going to start our session now, and today we are going to look at model deployment. So, which framework will we be using and how we will deploy the model that we've created. So, let me start by sharing my screen. So, just a minute, I'll be doing that. Yeah, so hope you all can see my screen. So, over here, we will be using Streamlit. So we will have Streamlit for our model deployment. So here you can see we have Streamlit website that we will be using as our reference for the model deployment part. And to get started with Streamlit, you first have to install it. And to install Streamlit, you'll have to open your CMD. So for me, I'll be using the Anaconda prompt. So that's from Anaconda. Okay, so for those who have just joined us, I was giving an introduction to what we are going to do today. And today we are going to deploy our app using Streamlit. So the first step we need to follow is open the streamlit.io website and follow the installation guidelines that we have. Okay, then I think we can also check the documentation part for Streamlit so that we can know the kind of things we can add to our app. So to install Streamlit, first of all, I've opened my Anaconda prompt. So for those who don't have Anaconda and you have Python installed, you can still run the same scripts I'm running here. So the first thing we have to do is run pip install Streamlit. So if you have pip Streamlit installed in your system, then you don't have to run this again. As for me, I have Streamlit installed in my system, and you'll see here the code is saying that the requirement is already satisfied. Then again, we can check a sample Streamlit app by running Streamlit hello. So let me clear this, then run Streamlit hello. Then we'll be able to see a sample Streamlit app. So this will create a link for us that we can be able to open using our web browser. So we have this. So we have localhost 8501, so which is our web app link. Okay, so this is what we have. So this is a sample. This is the Streamlit demo app. So we have the animation demo, we have the plotting demo, we have the mapping demo, and the data frame demo. So you can go through all those demos and see what you can extract from your data. Okay, so let's start our model deployment part. So I will kill this, then I will click on clear. Then I'll open my code editor. Then we'll proceed on from where we left off last time. So last time we were creating our model for predicting. So we were trying to predict Walmart weekly sales. And we used this notebook to create our model. So let me run this again. I'll run this code again so that we can have our outputs down here. Then we can start the process of getting our model. Okay, so I'll be using Visual Studio Code to create my Streamlit app. And the first thing I need to do is, this is my work directory, so I have to confirm that my IPYNB file codes are all running just fine. And if I check, I think everything is okay. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is I'll create a new Python file. and the file will be named app.py. So this will be my sample file, so the file that we'll be using to deploy our model. And the first thing we are going to do is we are going to import libraries that we are going to be using. So the first library that we are going to use is Stibon, not Stibon, but Streamlit, sorry. So import Streamlit as st. Then the second library we are going to use is pandas. Then the last library we are going to use is from sklearn.ensemble. We are going to import random forest classifier. So these are the three models that we are going to use. Okay, so I'll have that first. Okay, so when creating your Streamlit app, so if we check the documentation here, so if we click on get started, we can have a look at the main concepts, right? So the main concepts that we have over here, first of all, is Streamlit run. So Streamlit run allows you to run your Python file. So this app.py file that we've created over here, Streamlit run, allows us to like run this model. So what I'll do is I'll head over to my work folder. So cd desktop, cd dev, then we can have cd web underscore app. Okay, so I'm in my work folder. So if I want to run this file, the app.py file that I have over here, so what I'll have to do is I'll have to run streamlit run, then my selected script. So here my selected script will be the app.py file. So I will type in my terminal streamlit run app.py, then I'll click on enter. So for this script, we have nothing at the moment, so I haven't saved the script yet. So we might encounter an error here that the file is not yet in. But if we run this, this is what we get. So we get a blank web page. So let me save this. Then if we open our web browser again, you can see it's saying that the source file changed. So we have to rerun or always rerun. So I will click on always rerun so that anytime I make changes to this file, then we can see the changes reflect here. Okay, so after doing that, so what else should we do? So what we can do is we can add our web page title. So here, this part here, so we can add our web page title. Yeah, so I'll copy this, then I'll paste it here. So add page title. So we can have st.title. Then this is the Walmart. This is the Walmart weekly sales prediction app. So if I save that file, then I open my web browser, you can see we now have some text here. So you can see like model deployment using Streamlit is quite easy. So we have this single line of code that is doing all of this. So you don't have to type in any HTML code, you just have to use what Streamlit has given you to create your apps. Then we can have our app description. Okay, so our app description will be this. So this app predicts the weekly sales. Then I can save. So if we open that, you can see this is what we have. So this app predicts the weekly sales. So now we have two lines of code. So before we proceed, we'll have to add a few things to this app.py file before we can create other inputs here. And the first thing will be to import your data. So import dataset. So we will have our df being equal to, so if I go back to the ml.ipynb, I can copy the code that we use to import the data. So we'll have this df being equal to pd.read underscore csv, then walmart.csv. Okay, so after I have done that, I can display the top 5 rows of the data. And to do this, we will just type in st.dataframe. Then we type in our df.head. So this will display our top 5 rows of the data. So if I run this, if I save that and I open my web application, you can see what I'm getting. So this is the title of our web app, then this is the description, then this is the data frame. So what we can do here is we can add like a description. So we can type in st.subheader. So subheader will create a subheader for us. Then we can have data information for the subheader. Then I can save this. So I've saved that. So let's check. So this is our app, web app now. Yeah, so we have our Walmart weekly sales prediction app, then the description of the app, then the subheader, then the data itself. So another cool thing you can do with Streamlit is you can create plots with Streamlit. So we are going to create just one plot, and we are going to use the so for the plot we are going to use the so let's use the weekly sales column to create the plot. And I think for the weekly sales, so we do have the EDA part. So I think I missed the EDA part, but I believe I can do something concerning this. Okay, so just a minute, I'm trying to check and see what I can do here. Okay, so I'll add a few code cells here. Then I'll check the data info. So we can have df.info. So I'm trying to see what kind of data we have in the date column. Okay, so I think the date column has been dropped, so I'll have to read in the data again and check. Okay, so the date column is object. The date column is an object, so let me convert the date column to date time type. Okay, so we have that now. So if we do df.head, this is what we have. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here so that we can know that we first have to convert the date time column to that. So for this part here, I'll say we are okay. So I'm going to create a header. So st.header, and I'm going to say that this is the basic data analysis part. So let me save that first, then we can see that. So this is the basic data analysis part. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do is, after I've converted my date time column, so I will create a time series plot for date versus the weekly sales. So we are going to have st.header, then we are going to have the weekly sales trend. Then we are going to create a line chart for that. Then let me save that and see if we are going to get results that we need. Yeah, so these are the kind of results that we need. Okay, so you can see instead of using Jupyter Notebook, we are now creating a web app that can display everything that we want. So here we had the app title, then the app description. This is our header 1. This is the subheader. And here you can see we are displaying the top 5 rows of our data frame. Then we are displaying a plot. So this is the weekly sales plot. Okay, so you can expand this, you can interact with this plot. You can do a lot with Streamlit, so you can see like the trend. Okay, so let's proceed on. So I think that should be all for the basic EDA part. So our main interest will be to learn how to like ensure users can interact with this app. So we can get maybe input from users, and then we can output a prediction from a user's input. Okay, so that's all for the basic EDA part. So the next part that we will be handling is the machine learning prediction section. And here we are going to have st.header. Then we are going to have our ML model prediction part. So for our ML model prediction part, we are going to do some few data pre-processing. So according to what, so I'll copy some few codes. So here I'll say data pre-processing. So I'll copy the data pre-processing code that we had here. So I'll start with this. So the pre-processing part for the date. Then I'll also copy this. Then I'll lastly copy this. And not forgetting this part for dropping the date column. Then I'll paste that there. Okay, then we can display the top 5 rows of the data again, so that we can see how the ML data looks like. So here I'm going to say ML data information, then I'm going to save that. So we are trying to see if we now have these 3 new columns that we have up there. So if I check my app here, okay, so we have an error. So timestamp object has no attributes split. Okay, so I know where the issue is. So since we are not using the date column, so I'll have to delete that. Then I'm going to save the code again, and we can check our web app again. So this is what we have. So up here we have our basic EDA part, where we've just displayed our data frame. Then we've just created a sample plot for our web app. Then we've come to the model prediction part. So this is the model data frame. So you can see for the model data frame, we have 3 new columns. We have the day, month, and year column. But up here, we don't have that. So we only have the date column. So we've created 3 new columns. So we have to display to the user what kind of data we are getting from our model. So the next thing we are going to do is, after doing that, so let me get the columns. So we are going to split the data into training and test set. So let me copy that code. So we were using this. So we had the df.drop that. Okay, then again, I'm going to display the columns in the x-axis, so that we can create a function that can get user input using the same column names that we have. So I'm going to type in st.write. Then we are going to have x.columns. Then I'm going to save that. So we are going to extract these column names from our web app. So this is what we have. So these are the column names. So first we have store, holiday flag, temperature, fuel price, CPI, employment day, month. Yeah. So these are the columns that we have. So I'm going to copy that, going to paste that here. Then I'm going to create kind of a list here with all that info. Okay, so let me cut this so it's saved onto my keyboard. So I'll use that later. So the next thing we need to do is we need to fit the model. So we are going to have rf being equal to random forest classifier. So remember we've already imported our model up here, so we now have to use it. So should it be a random forest classifier or regressor? So I think it should be regressor because we are dealing with a regression task. So I'll change this to random forest regressor. Then we are going to fit it to the x and y. Yeah. Then the next thing we do, so I'm going to save this. So if we open our web app again, so I think the columns part here should be excluded. So my web app is reloading. Okay. Yeah, so my web app has fully reloaded. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to add the part for taking user inputs. So take user inputs. So we are going to have def user underscore inputs, right? Then I'm going to paste that list in here now. So these will be our hyperparameters, okay? Not hyperparameters. Okay, then we're going to have store being equal to int store. So yeah, then holiday being int flag, temperature being that, fuel price being float fuel price, then CPI being equal to float CPI, unemployment being equal to that, day, year. Yeah, so we are going to have that. Then we are going to store the inputs. So in this variable known as features. Then after that, we are going to create a data frame. Okay, so we are going to create a data frame from the features. So we are going to have, okay, so we are going to have user df being equal to that. Then what we are going to return is user df. So yeah, so let's take inputs from user. Okay, so for example, for the store number, for the store we are going to have st dot sidebar, then we are going to have a slider, yeah, for something like that. Then for holiday flag we are going to have st dot slider, then holiday flag. So it's either a 0 or 1. So if we check the holiday part, so we have only zeros and ones. Then for temperatures we are going to have our temperatures part here. Okay, so let's just open the Streamlit documentation site and see some of the things that we can use. So I think it should be here on the advanced part. Okay, so let me check. Maybe it's on the components. Not sure. Let's check the documentation first and see what we can get from this part here. So we have the slider, we have a button. Okay, so what else do we have? Okay, so maybe I can search for input. So we have the input widgets. Okay, so for input widgets, we have button, download button, we have checkbox, we have radio, we have select box, we have slider, we have multi-select, we have text input, we have number input. So for temperature, we can have something like st dot number input for temperature. Then for fuel price, we can have the number input. For CPI also. For unemployment, okay, for unemployment, I think we have the max and minimum value. Okay, so let me check. Okay, so, and I think I can use the def dot describe method to know this. Okay, so for unemployment, we have, so for store number, we have these as the minimum, then the maximum at 45. So I think I can set that. So 1 to 45, that's okay. For weekly sales, we don't have that as an input. For holiday flag, we have 0 and 1. So I think that's okay. We have 0 and 1 here. So let me save this first and ensure we have the right thing before we can add more widgets. Okay, so my app is still running, so I think it will take a few more minutes to run. And here you can see now we have our web app. So over here we have our inputs from the user. So yeah, we can get inputs from users. Yeah, so something like this. So we wanted to work with something like this. Yeah, so the next thing we can check is temperature, fuel price, CPI, unemployment. So unemployment minimum is 3, max is at 14. Okay, so I don't know if this can work. So this is 3, max at 15. Yeah, so we can have that. And I think we now have the, so these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have the, okay, so I've forgotten the day part. So day should be 1 to 31. Then month should be 1 to 12. Then year we have maybe 2010 to 2012. Okay, so something like that. Okay, maybe I can confirm the year part here. So what I can use is the x.describe. So for the year we have 2010 being the minimum and 2012 being the maximum. Yeah, so I think that's okay. Then what we can do is we can store the inputs, and we will have to run this function now. So user inputs. So user def should be equals to the user input function that we've created up here. Okay, so after that we can display the user input. So we are going to have st.subheader user inputs, then we can have st.data frame, then we can have user def. So let's save that and see what we have. So it's reloading. So you've seen these top parts and you've understood how we've created the top parts that we have over here. So now we are looking at these part here for the ML model. So these are the user inputs. So for example, if I change the fuel price to something like, let's say the current fuel price is 170.69 and I click on enter. So I'm expecting this part here, the one where we, this part where we have negative 0.04 to change to 170.69. Yeah, so it has changed. Then for CPI we can have, so let me check. For CPI we can have something like 39, which is the standard deviation. So let me change this to 39. Then unemployment I can change this to something else. So day we can have day 14, month So the current month is month 5. Then for the year, we can have 2011. For the unemployment rate, we can have maybe 6. Can click on enter, and we are going to have our data field in here for the test user. Okay, so our app is running kind of slow. So I think what we can do, there is this part for okay, so let me see. Yeah, so we have this part here. Okay, so I think we can add that to our code to ensure that we are not running everything as we are doing it. Okay, so I'm not sure if this will work, but we'll just run it and confirm. Okay, so let me save this, then we can confirm if it's working or we are going to get. Yeah, so we have an error. Let me remove this. Yeah, I think we can research on that later. So yeah, here we have our web app. So we are displaying the user features. So far, let's summarize what we've done so far. So we've created our web app. So with this web app, we've created our app title. We've done some basic EDA. So we've displayed the data frame. So here for the displaying of the data frame, I think we can add something. So what we can add is show the summary statistics. So we can have st dot subheader, then the st dot data frame, then we can have the summary statistics. So the next thing we are going to do is make predictions. So we are going to make predictions and display the result. So we are going to extract the prediction. So first of all, we are going to create a new variable called prediction. Then we are going to use rf.predict. Then we are going to use the user df as our test data. Then we are going to type in st.subheader, then st.write, then prediction. Then we are going to save that. So let's check our app and see what we have. So for the sidebar, so we have a sidebar here in our app. So we can display the sidebar for us to like input our data, or we can close it to see the results that we get from our app. So here you can see we have our completed app. So it has the basic EDA part, it has some summary statistics, it has a plot in it, and it has the part where we are making predictions. Okay, so this is, so if you are to share your work with someone, so this is what you are supposed to share. So just the front-end app. So instead of sharing a Jupyter notebook, so something like this, which looks kind of not neat, so you can share an app. So this is the Streamlit app that you can share, and users can be able to like interact with this app, yeah, and see the kind of work you did. Yeah. So for example, if you've created this plot, so you can add some text down here to explain what is being displayed here on the plot. Okay, so yeah, so the next thing we are going to do is deploying of the app. So first of all, before we deploy the app, so we have to create the requirements.txt file. So the requirements.txt file contains all the libraries that you've used in your model here, in your app.py file. So for us, we've used Streamlit, so I'll add that. We've used sklearn, and lastly, we've used pandas. So these are the three libraries that we've used. Okay, so I'll save this, and what we need to do now is go ahead and upload these files to GitHub. So if you have your GitHub account, you can upload these two files. So you can upload the app.py file, the requirements.txt file, and the walmart.csv file. So the file where your data is coming in from. So let me open my GitHub account. So I'll head over to github.com. Then what I'll do is I'll create a new repository. Okay, so again, I don't know. So I've never tried this, but I think you can click on deploy this app. Yeah, so could not find a remote repository hosted on GitHub. So yeah, so first of all, we have to create a GitHub repo, upload these files, and then deploy the app. So for this app, I'm going to say this is the Walmart. This is the Walmart app, so it's going to be public so that you guys can access this file. Then I'm going to add a README file. Then I'm going to create repository. Okay, so the repository has been created. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upload my files. So the files that we've just created. And we are going to upload three files. So it's the walmart.csv file, requirements.txt file, and the app.py file. So we've confirmed that everything is running from here. So for example, if I change the month from month 5 to something like month 10, let's see how it affects the price, the predicted weekly sales. Okay, so we have 898. So if I change the fuel price to something like 100, let's see how the predicted weekly sales price change. So here we have 898. Let's see if it will reduce or if it will rise. Okay, so we have 872. So it actually reduces. So let's upload our files. So I'll click on choose here. Then I'll open my folder. So it's the web app folder. Then I'll copy these three files. So we have the app.py file, requirements.txt, and the walmart.csv file. But I'll also upload the ml.ipynb file so that you guys can get to check and see what was done on the ML app. Okay, so Theoston, I see you have a question. Yeah. Okay, so I've uploaded the files. So the next thing we need to do is we need to share this website. So you need to open share.streamlit.io. So after you've opened share.streamlit.io, so you'll have to log in and you'll have to set up your account. So after you've logged in and you've linked your Streamlit account to GitHub, so you'll click on this button here, which says new app. Then you'll select the GitHub repo. So for me, the GitHub repo that we've just created right now is the Walmart repo. Then the branch is main branch. Then the app, the file path. So it should be this app.py file. So I will delete this, then we will have the app.py file. Advanced settings, so you can set the Python version. So I think our Python version was 3.916, so I think that should be okay. Then once I've done that, I can click on deploy. So let's wait and see if the app will be deployed. So you might get errors, but yeah, if you get any errors, you'll have to check the logs from Streamlit and try and debug your code and see where you might have had issues. Okay, so our app is being deployed. So I'm just hoping we won't have any issues. Okay, so we have an error here. Okay, so in line 4 from sklearn.ensemble import random forest regressor. Okay, so let's Google and try and see what's the meaning of this error that we have over here. Okay, so I'm trying to debug the code, but yeah, we should have a solution in a few. Okay, so we have the module not found error. Let me Google that. Okay, so what we'll have to do, I think, is we'll have to create a virtual environment first for this file. So what we will do is, let me stop this first. Then I'm going to clear that. Then we are going to create our own virtual environment. So the virtual environment here will be Walmart. Okay, so not working. And this should be Python 3.9. So we are creating the virtual environment, and I believe there are a few files that will be included here. So we'll have to import that also. Okay, so you guys had any questions, but you can see as of now, so our local app is running. So we have our local app running and we can see the results. So the only thing we have to fix is the online version for the app. Yeah. So questions from you guys, you can share your questions in the chat section, or you can unmute and speak freely.
Hi, Joseph.
Hi. Hi, Israel. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there is a step-by-step guide for this, but I think it's only taught on the model deployment class for Africa CDSA students.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right. Thanks.
this is the open community project where we have everyone joining. Yeah,
Okay.
but I think maybe you can follow up this video. You can do your own search. You can check the streamlit.io documentation and you can see what you need to do to work with Streamlit. Okay, so actually I can check the documentation and I can have a look at the deployment part. Let me search and see if I can get that. Okay, so I don't know how long these dependencies will take to install, but I think once you've created your virtual environment, so you'll have to activate it, then run pip install. So you'll have to install the requirements.txt file again. Then once you've installed the requirements.txt file, then you'll have to re-upload the files now. So everything that is in your work folder. So after you've uploaded everything that is in your work folder, then you'll have to redeploy your app. Yeah. And I think it should be that brings us to the end of this project. So yeah, hope it was fun and hope you've learned something from the project. As from the data sourcing, the data EDA part, the creation of machine learning models, and the creation of your web apps. So you can go ahead and add more functionalities to your web app. So for me, I've just included a few things here just to show you the capabilities of Streamlit. But you can go ahead and experiment more with Streamlit and see what you can do with it. Yeah. So with that said, I think that should bring us to the end of today's session. But unless anyone has a question. Anyone with a question,